Yeah. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Simply Thinking Podcast. I am your host, Jairo Medina. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in once more, whether you're watching or listening. I really do appreciate you guys tuning in and supporting the podcast from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, guys. Before I start, I gotta say, I gotta shout out the sponsors of the podcast for the supporters. Thank you so much to Enox Heating and Air, Confidence Barbershop, 24 and more, the ones who are responsible for this wonderful work of art. Go and check them out. And now we have a new supporter, my boy Robert from the San Diego area, Robert Cesena. He actually started a clothing brand, Make a Choice brand. So shout out to my boy Robert. Thank you so much, bro, for supporting the podcast. And guys, look at this right here. Look at that. Yeah. Mugs are coming pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. I really do. This was a little trial, so don't know if I'm gonna go with this or with a different look, but stay tuned and support the podcast. Have yourself a wonderful mug, and as I always say, may we all stay. I should have wrote simply thinking, but stay thinking. That's the whole point of the podcast. I want all of us to become objective thinkers. So, as you sip your coffee or your tea or your water, you can listen to the podcast and know you're supporting this guy's crazy dream. So, thank you guys. Okay, let's get started. Man, I know I haven't had a chance to record anything. I know I have a couple interviews that I've done and I haven't had a chance to edit. I've actually been quite busy with something that is very close and dear to me. I love the podcast. I really do. I love doing this. This is, like I said from the beginning, this is a work of, there's a lot of passion involved in this. I really do love to communicate. I do love to, just share ideas. I really do love it. So this is something that I really do enjoy. But I have been preoccupied because we started Bible studies on Wednesdays. I started teaching once more on Wednesdays, and it's already the second week, and it has been absolutely amazing. I've loved it. We've been challenged. I personally have been challenged. I've been reminded of God's promises and the things that we're waiting for, and it's been exciting. So I really have enjoyed it big time. So I've been preoccupied with that, and I haven't had a chance to work on any of the videos. That I will get to it this week, and I have some wonderful interviews that I want you guys to check out with some amazing people. My boy Bobby Griffin, my friend Jonathan Lujano, who's a pastor in the Arizona area, my boy Oscar, and also my great friend Gil Flores. I have to put his up too. And I'm actually interviewing a great friend of mine tomorrow, Friday. I'm going to be interviewing my friend Sarah Corona from the wonderful state of New York. And, she has a very great ministry that she's doing over Instagram. It's amazing. So I definitely want to be able to promote what she is doing. She's a great person. And I really can't wait to just, talk to her and then have you guys listen in and go and support her. She's a great person, a great friend, and I really look forward to our conversation tomorrow. So I will keep you guys posted on that. But yeah, like I said, I've just been really busy, and there's been some great things that have been happening. Aside from the Bible study, I actually am going to be interviewed I'm going to be interviewed on a local TV show here in Fresno. Shout out to Mike Briggs from Central Valley Talk. I'm going to be interviewed by them next Thursday. So that is absolutely exciting. I'll keep you guys posted for sure on that. That's so exciting. I mean, the fact that door opened up, and I'm just, I get to talk about the podcast, what I'm doing, some of the future things that I have in store. It's going to be exciting. It really is. I actually I've also been writing a lot. I have a new segment that I'm going to be doing this week. So please stay tuned for that. I'm really excited about that. Some equipment came in today. This week as well. Some equipment came in that I'm going to be using to do this new segment. So please stay tuned for that. I'm not going to talk about it. I will keep you guys updated, but I'm completely excited about that. So please stay tuned. Stay tuned to the YouTube channel because that's where it's going to be uploaded. And also, I'm gonna strip and make it like, I'm not going to strip. What's up with that? I'm going to strip the audio from the video. I'm saved. I love Jesus. Don't judge me. Okay. weird. And there's always a weird moment with the podcast, right? But we have to have fun with it a little bit. So I'm still saved. Don't judge me. So yeah, I'm gonna be stripping the audio and gonna be sharing that as well. Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and Google Play Music. So you guys can definitely stay tuned to that. But definitely it will be on YouTube, and I want you guys to enjoy that. So please, again, stay tuned. Okay, so today I really want to just share a very quick idea, concept, something for us to think about. As I've said in previous episodes, we are living in a very crazy time, very peculiar. It's very weird what we're going through. If you would have told me in January that we were going to be going through something like this, I definitely would have not believed you. I would have been like, yeah, you're kind of tripping, But well, we're here. Now, none of us expected this, and it came and it hit us, and well, we're surviving. We're doing our best to adapt, and we're just asking for God to give us the wisdom to act accordingly. But it's a very crazy time, not just in our country, but in the world. But when we look at the state of our country, it's very sad what just has been going on, not just with coronavirus itself, but just what's going on politically. This is election year, so you have a lot of crazy things just happening, and you have people on both sides of the aisle just like throwing stones at each other, and then of course you have other people with different views that are just not in agreement with anybody, and it's crazy, and it's really disheartening to see stuff that is happening, especially within the church. I know I talked about this before, that we see a lot of people within the church who are even disagreeing and arguing, and I have felt compelled to continue to just share an idea that not just for the church, I think just anybody in general, that just because you have an opposing view doesn't mean you should hate someone. I will stand by that forever. There's some friends of mine that I have that we don't see eye to eye. We don't see eye to eye at all. We disagree heavily politically, but at the end of the day, we're still friends. We still support each other. We still encourage each other, to just continue to press forward. And that's what friends do. And that's something that we have been doing. We still love each other as friends. We just don't agree in any particular subject. We don't see eye to eye. But at the end of the conversation, we're still friends. We still give each other a hug, a handshake, and we're still friends. And I think we definitely need to pick that back up. Just because you disagree with someone doesn't mean you should hate them. And as I've said, loving thy neighbor is not an option. It's a commandment, especially for the church. Loving your neighbor is not an option. It's a commandment, something we have to do. Love your neighbor, even if you disagree with them. Love them. That's something that we have to do. I could go forever about that, but let me get to the point of why I wanted to make this video. I know I mentioned this in some of the other episodes, that something that I have learned these past couple of months has been to experience God in a way that I've never experienced Him before. I grew up in a very charismatic evangelical church, apostolic church, where sound is synonymous with worship, with praise, to get loud, be exuberant, and, just create sound, right? That's what worship is. We get excited, and, people, very charismatic, right? So I grew up in that atmosphere. But these past couple of months, I have not experienced God in that way. Matter of fact, it's actually been a couple of years since I've started on that journey, but these past couple of months is actually cemented way much more. I have not experienced God in the charismatic, in the noise and the sound. I've actually experienced God in the silence. I have expressed before that one of the things that I've been doing has been just to sit in silence, turn my phone off, distract myself from music, from watching anything, just sit there and be in the moment and be silent and let truth speak to me. Let truth speak to my heart. And I have experienced God in that way these past couple of months. And a verse came to mind last week. And it's a verse that I've memorized, a verse that I've heard so many times, but it came back to memory, and it's Psalms 46:10, where it says, "Be still and know that I am God." God has always dealt with me when it comes with peace. Um, I remember reading Philippians 4:7 and just being overwhelmed by that. And, the peace of God that surpasses all understanding will guard our heart and our mind in Christ Jesus. That was one thing that God, encouraged me and to trust Him with my heart, with my mind, and be filled with peace. And now I'm being challenged to sit in the stillness and recognize that He is God, and let that peace overwhelm and just overflood my life. Because look how chaotic things are right now. Look how crazy things are. You can't even turn on the TV without having some sort of chaos that is happening. I mean, it's disheartening. You can't even watch sports. You can't even watch, much less the news. You can't watch. I mean, just everything is just chaotic. It's chaos and chaos, and after a while, that just becomes very overwhelming, and it just takes a toll on you. And one thing that we need for sure is to be filled with peace, and peace can only come from the giver of peace, which is Christ Himself. And I truly believe that God is inviting us, and in this moment, to sit and be still, to sit in that stillness, in the quietness. Let me tell you guys a quick little story. So, shout out to Confidence Barbershop. My boy Ray Miranda. Not only is he my brother-in-law, he's a great friend of mine, and I really love the dude. And he's a great guy, and he's my barber. He's the one who gets me looking all kinds of fresh. Yeah, he's my barber. So. I know you guys always look forward to that, so that's a little treat. Follow me on Instagram for more shenanigans and little Jairo wisdom. Simply Thinking Podcast, all together, one word. Go and follow me there. But my boy Ray, he's my barber. He's been my barber for a couple of years. I've cheated on him and gone to other barbers sometimes, and they're great barbers. But Ray is my boy. He's my main guy. He's my barber. He's the one that has me looking all kinds of fresh. Last week I went to him, and every time I go get a haircut, it's very relaxing. I can actually fall asleep when I'm in the barber chair. I really could. I could fall asleep. It's so comfortable there. I really do find it very relaxing. So I can definitely just rest there. I can fall asleep for sure. But I have the habit of sometimes doing something that I am not supposed to do when I'm on the chair. So when he is working on my beard, I obviously am not supposed to talk, especially if he's around the mustache area or working on the beard. I'm supposed to be quiet because if I move, he can, he can cut something that cut a chunk of the beard off that shouldn't be there. I'm sorry, that he shouldn't cut off, right? Well, it's not the first time that happens, but last week I actually ended up talking when he was working on this side of the beard, right here. I ended up talking, and I noticed he kind of like tensed up, and I looked, and I was like, dude, and I asked him, did you cut a chunk off? And he was like, yeah. I looked, and he had like this face like, oh man. So he had to, so I messed up my own beard because I was supposed to be quiet, but I didn't because, I was just talking. Now, in a moment that required stillness of me, I ruined it by talking, and then he had to go and fix the other side to make it look normal. There are a lot of times where God, especially now, He's asking of us to be still and trust Him. But because we're, I believe one of the mistakes that we've made is we feel like we're very independent, right? We feel like, oh, we don't need a God. We don't need Him. And especially even within the church, I think we've taken on that attitude. Not everybody, but for the most part, we feel like, we got it. We're strong enough. We're young. Things are going great, and He asks us to trust Him sometimes, and we say, no, but I got the resources. But I'm smart. I'm young. I got a vision, and we do things that, end up causing chaos in our life. When things should have gone right, they went wrong because we chose not to be still, to be quiet, to listen. I'm reminded of a story in 1 Kings chapter 19, verses 11 and 13 with Elijah, right? When he's in the mountain and he's waiting to hear from God. So there's a couple events that happen. First, the great wind comes, right? And he's like, okay, definitely God has to be here because it's wind, it's powerful. God was not there. Secondly, an earthquake happens, and he thinks, okay, for sure God's gonna speak here, right? Because it's a loud noise. God's gonna talk, and nothing happened. God was not there. Then a great fire came, and he's like, okay, for sure God has to be here. Nothing happened. And then lastly, a gentle wind comes, and God was there. In the stillness, in the quiet, God was there. So I believe that in this time right now, in what we're going through, with so much noise and chaos, God is inviting us to be still, to sit in the silence, to listen to Him. If you look at what social media has done, we really are being conditioned to talk, to have a platform. I mean, look what the podcast has done. It's given me a platform to share some ideas, what's on my heart. Social media, you can, share things on there. You can, share a message with no words, just a picture or a video or a painting or some music or whatever. You get to get an idea across through social media. So we're being conditioned to be heard, to want to talk with social media, to get a message across. And that's great to a certain extent. But a lot of us, again, we're being conditioned to talk. And we're ignoring the fact that sometimes we have to sit in silence and listen. We just want to get our message across, and that's it. Now, I was having a conversation with a friend the other day. I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to put anybody on blast. But I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, and this person, I was able to pick up that they just wanted to be heard. We're talking about a concept, right? And I did. I allowed them to, I could have talked over to them because I talk and I never shut up, especially when I have caffeine, but I was like, okay, I want to hear their point of view. So, I heard their point of view and I tried to share mine, but they kept cutting me off. And then I finally got the sense like, okay, this person doesn't want to hear. They just want to be heard. They want to be right. They don't want to hear anything. And that's dangerous because we don't know it all. I don't know it all. There's things I'm passionate about, things that I've studied like crazy, but even I know that I'm not a know-it-all. I don't know it all. I don't. I've said long ago that I love to be surrounded by people who know more than me. I never want to be the smartest person in the room because I feel so bad for everybody who's in that room when this guy is the smartest guy in the room. I never want that to happen. I definitely want to be able to look up and not have necessarily people look up to me. I want to be able to look up to others and learn from their wisdom. Now, if God places me in places where, let's say, I'm the most experienced, then okay, great. Hopefully I can inspire someone. But I never want to be the smartest person in the room. Never. I always want to learn from people. I hope that I want to say that I have, but I hope that I've learned throughout the years that it's okay to sit in silence sometimes, especially these past couple of months. That has really taught me that it's okay to sit in silence, to allow truth to speak and not let it be like, no, this is how I view truth and this is truth and here. But it's like, no, I want to be able to sit in silence and allow truth to flood my heart, to flood my mind, to flood my soul. And, in case I'm lost, that truth may find me. And sometimes, we can't listen to truth because we're listening, we could get lost and listen to a bunch of other voices that when truth is calling out, we can't listen to truth because we're too busy talking. We're too busy distracted by so much noise around us that when truth is calling, we don't listen. And I think that's why silence is great, because it allows truth to be spoken into our lives and then we could be transformed by it. Because truth brings perfect peace. When you discover what truth is, it frees you. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. There's something about truth that is freeing. I have long said this. I don't like when people lie to me. I really don't. I've always said this, that I'd rather be hurt by the truth than comforted by a lie. I want to be told the truth because that frees me. That gives me strength. It may hurt. because we all don't like to hear the truth. We really don't. We all want to be told a comforting lie. And that's the problem with, I think, a lot of us nowadays. We don't want to be told the truth. We want to be told a comforting lie. As long as we feel good about it, that's all we want. But the truth causes us to humble ourselves, to change sometimes. But there's something freeing about that though, because it causes you to grow and change. And I think that's absolutely amazing. So again, truth can be found in the silence. And I think we need to do more of that, for sure. You know what also inspired me to talk about this? The other day I was driving in my car, which I seem to do quite a lot about. Seem to do quite a lot of about of. I drive a lot, and as I was driving, the car made this weird little sound that I'm sometimes used to, and obviously I looked at the dashboard and it said low fuel. And I was like, okay, man, like I have to find the nearest gas station because, I'm running low on fuel. And right then and there, I began to think. Obviously, I was thinking about peace because I'm trying to daily be at peace with God and be at peace. Just walk around being comforted, and feel peace, a peace that surpasses all understanding. And as I looked at that, it said low fuel. I began to think, I wonder how many people right now are feeling low on peace. How many people don't feel peace right now? How many people are just feeling overwhelmed, are feeling stressed, are feeling just overwhelmed by anxiety? I was reading an article at the amount of people that have committed suicide these past couple of months, and that hurts my heart every time that I even think about that or read. I think, that there are people who thought that the best way out of their problems was to take their own life. Especially us men. Us men, we suffer in silence. We do. We suffer in silence. And, sometimes it's hard for us men to express how we feel. It really is difficult for us to just express how we feel. And, the amount of people that have been committing suicide and the amount of people who have entered into depression, have entered into, just are being overwhelmed by anxiety. And again, as I saw my car tell me that it was low on fuel, I began to think, I wonder how many people are low on peace. And I said, I got to talk about it. Because there is one who offers peace. And Christ said it, the peace that I give you is not like you'll get it from anywhere else. A temporary peace. But I'll give you a peace that's going to last forever. This is the beauty of receiving peace from Christ, is that it's not a peace that leaves when all is good and comes when all is bad, but it's a peace that stays with us forever as long as we're near Him, as long as we're near Christ. We can be just overwhelmed with peace. It's like if you're walking, in the dark. The moment you approach light, you feel comforted because you're like, okay, now I know that I can see what's around me. I know that I don't have to worry of the dangers that possibly could be there because, the darkness it vanishes once light is there. And that's the same thing that happens with when you're around Christ. We're there and we could just have, we can see the light, we can see the truth, and that can bring us to perfect peace. So for anybody who perhaps is watching or listening right now and you're being overwhelmed in this moment, I invite you to come to Christ. I invite you to come and just talk to Him and just say, I heard this crazy guy in a podcast talk about peace. I may not know anything about you, but I want to try some of that peace that he talked about. I want to experience that peace. And I can assure you that you will be comforted by Him. I am sure of that. And for anybody who perhaps is a Christian and you've been struggling these past couple of months, I invite you to experience Christ in the stillness. To be at peace. One thing that in this psalm that I was reading is that it talks about a war that is happening, and I could just imagine David and his whole army just perhaps being overwhelmed and seeing at the amount of enemies that were coming against them that want to see him destroyed. And they could have fought with their own strength. They could have done it. I'm sure they had the manpower, they had the experience. But God tells them this passage. He says, you know what? Be still. I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to figure this out for you. You can rest. You can be at peace. Just relax. I got this. So for anybody who perhaps you're watching this at nighttime before you go to sleep and you're being overwhelmed, just know that you can rest tonight, because there's one who's going to stay up and is going to figure everything out. It might not get solved tomorrow. It might not get solved in the next week or so, but know that you can trust him and that he will figure everything out. And right now he's telling us that, be still and know that I am God. That is the message for today. I hope we can take that. I hope we can apply it to our lives. And if you don't know anything about God, I invite you to reach out to me. Definitely would love to have a conversation with you. We can talk about that. Even if you don't believe, let's go ahead and talk. I really would enjoy that very much, because it's a crazy time that we're living in. And as I've said before, I'm not the perfect Christian. I don't act like I am. I try not to act that way, like I am the perfect Christian. All I am is a beggar who was once hungry, who has found where bread can be found. And I just want to lead you to that place where you can be satisfied, where you can be made whole and be full. That's what happens when you come to a relationship with him. Thanks, guys, for watching. Thanks, guys, for listening. I really appreciate it. And may your guys' life be filled with peace. And as always, may we all stay simply thinking.